and welcome to day 5 of the 30 Days Devotional video logs. I just did a study on 1 Corinthians 5:11, so as I was reading day 5's devotional, I saw it from a few different angles. Day 5 is asking about how you feel and directs you to think about how others offend you. Then it talks about how you offend God. But when is the last time you considered your actions and how they may have offended someone else? Or how do you take it when someone confronts you on something you've done? Do you get offended? It seems as though offending can be a very controlling thing. It keeps us from doing things that we should do, as well as things we shouldn't. And it keeps us from confronting people when we shouldn't, as well as when we should. Think about that. Why don't we stand up in the middle of a movie theater and have a little chat with our friends? Because we'll upset people or offend them, right? It's not because we don't want to. Why would we sit for several minutes while a baby is crying in the middle of a wedding ceremony and not say something to the parent? Because the parent might get upset, and we don't want to offend them. Why don't we confront fellow Christians when we know they're doing something that they shouldn't? Because they might get upset with us and leave the church. They might get offended. And why don't we tell the visitor that they are not dressed appropriate for a church service? Because we don't want to them to get offended and not come back again. Obviously, there are times when we shouldn't offend people and we shouldn't say something. But what about the times that we should, and all we're worried about is offending people? Offending. It really does control a good portion of our lives. It was probably part of the issue with the Corinthians in chapter 5 as well. But we shouldn't be so concerned about what other people think. Jesus never did. Jesus offended some of the most religious and spiritual people in his day. He offended people by talking to the outcasts. He offended people because of those that he had lunch with. He offended people by throwing them out of the temple area. But each time he offended someone, it wasn't really about what he thought or what he felt, and he didn't worry about what it made him look like. His only concern was, what does my Father think? And what does my Father want? If his Father didn't like it, he didn't like it. And if his Father liked it, he liked it. It was pretty simple for him. It wasn't about those around him, and it wasn't about him. His full focus was on God, his Father. He didn't say or do anything that wasn't pleasing to God, and he didn't have a problem telling others when they weren't pleasing God. So why don't we really live more like Jesus today? I think it's because we're all controlled by other people in this one little word, offend. If we were run by the same force that Jesus was controlled by, we would do a whole lot less offending when we shouldn't, and a whole lot more offending when we should. But are we brave enough to truly live like Jesus did? It sure is something to think on. So think on it. Always a journey.